Okay,
Okay, okay.
great. And what are your names?
My name's Alia. Alia.
Can you spell it for me?
Alia.
And
Theo, Theo.
yeah. All right. And so we're going to talk about the election. You had kind of said that you were more worried now after the election than before. So I don't know if you want to incorporate that sort of into a statement of belief, like that we can, something specific that we can analyze.
Okay. Yeah, well, I guess I'll just say why I'm more worried now than before. Before the election, I was obviously just, I support Biden, and I was just hoping that everything would go smoothly and Biden would win, and that if he didn't win, then like we would survive for 4 more years, and I don't know, hopefully something else would change. But I've actually been pretty anxious since like it was decided that Biden was the winner, but Trump isn't conceding. And I guess I've just been reading a lot of news articles about him like firing people right now and still not conceding, and like what's on his mind and what's his plan. And now it's just like an even crazier moment for me, for like historical moment. And
Okay.
yeah.
Um, so there's kind of a lot there without like a specific belief, I think. But are you? So let's just start with. I don't even know how to sum up the belief. Maybe you'd like to
Yeah.
contribute something.
I guess maybe you should make it more about Alia since.
Okay,
kind of
sure,
her
sure,
main
sure.
belief.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I guess I believe that like maybe the belief is that even though I absolutely despise everything that Trump stands for, like an election that was honest, where he just won the popular vote, won the electoral college, and was in the office for 4 more years, and then gave up power in 4 years, might have been like less bad for this country than Biden winning fair and square the electoral college, the popular vote, and now what's happening now with Trump, like putting so much doubt into the democracy. And
So it seems like that there's a little bit of a discrepancy between, like, if I'm understanding what you're saying correctly, you're saying that you're afraid of the result of the election, but you're also saying that you think the election is decisive. Is that accurate?
I'm extremely happy about the results of the election. I'm happy about Biden winning. I mean, I wish that he won by more, but I'm extremely worried about Trump putting so much strain on the democracy and like questioning whether it was real or not, and with like no evidence. And that's like almost more worrisome to me than if he had just won outright and was
Right.
in power for 4 more years.
So that's creating, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that you see that sort of as creating, or uh, the split and the sort of divide between people who voted for Trump and people who voted for Biden is exacerbated
Yeah.
by the way the election happened.
Yeah. By the way that Trump is handling defeat, as in like not handling defeat.
Right. So it's my understanding that the election is not officially decided yet. Is that your understanding?
Not really. No, I thought it was pretty officially decided. Well, I thought like the Associated Press called it, like
Right.
all the news outlets called it.
Is
I
that
thought the only remaining thing to happen was the agency that's in. It's their responsibility to actually officially transfer the power, that they hadn't
yes?
signed the papers on that. I thought that's
Right.
where we were right now.
So would it make a difference to your level of fear or concern if you were to get information that challenged your belief that the election was not officially over? And like, would that,
I guess I would like to be educated on that because from what I've been reading, I feel like the election is over and Trump's throwing a tantrum and also doing things that are really dangerous for
right?
democracy.
So like, would Trump's reaction to the situation now be less concerning to you if you learned that the election was in fact not officially called? And that, like, you know, similarly to, like, say in 2000 when there was you know, I think almost 40 days of um, challenges in the court and stuff like that that were part of the process of wrapping up a very close election. Like, would that make it seem as
more legitimate.
like his? So it would give. Would that lessen your fear that this was somehow less like extraordinary
I
in
think
his
it would.
response?
Yeah,
You know?
it would. I mean, his personality is obviously still extraordinary. The things he says, the way he tweets, like that's all like not comforting in any way. And
Right.
I guess the way that he is firing people and replacing them with like loyalists or I guess that was pretty concerning to me. But you know, we were talking about the social dilemma before and being in bubbles, and I'm sure my like news apps are throwing more articles at me about why it's concerning, why it's like a new historical, why it goes against all norms that Trump is acting this way.
Right. So you what I'm hearing you say is that you are like this. The movie kind of consolidated this idea of bubbles, and you are sort of self-reflective about possibly being in a bubble
yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
and like algorithms reaffirming your. So how do you have you made an effort, or have you gone about trying to find information that is, you know, outside of that algorithm, or from, like, you must be aware that there are other bubbles. Have you tried to like poke your way into those bubbles at all?
Honestly, not at all. Anything I see from another bubble is through the lens of my own bubble. Like, like Trump, even Fox News cut off Trump's press secretary and like didn't let told their viewers that they shouldn't listen to what she was saying, and so like that's my bubble's lens of Fox News.
Right. So let me ask.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh, I was just gonna say that honestly, no, I haven't, and I've probably been like working myself up over the last few days, reading the news and going in a spiral, thinking like we're headed towards, you know, a coup or a civil war, like something.
So would you be? Are you interested in having your beliefs, like your mind changed with new information?
Definitely,
or like if you found new information, would you alter your belief?
Yes, definitely.
What do you think's preventing you from looking?
I don't know. The things that I read all create such a cohesive picture of what's happening that it's so hard to believe that like, oh, the election just isn't officially called and he's just like maybe being annoying and a bad loser, but also like just trying to see if he could find some votes in Pennsylvania or something. Like
That's
it's
really
just
interesting.
my lens is so clear. It's such a cohesive from everything I've been like obsessively watching for the last week and a half that it doesn't even seem like there's room for another reality. But of course, then
yet at the same time, you know, you state that you're aware that there's a likelihood that you're in a bubble, and perhaps you're mistaken. I mean, even though what you're seeing is so like overwhelmingly convincing, you at the same time seem to be aware that there's.
It's hard to remember, yeah. But...
So I think one of the associated phenomenons with being in a bubble is that there's a cost of entertaining ideas outside that bubble, like socially. And so if it might be do you think that's possibly a reason why you wouldn't actively seek information that would, you know, have to cause you to challenge, you know, because people part of being in the bubble is that all their friends and associates are in that bubble as well, and it can be very threatening to those relationships to kind of go against the grain.
I actually don't think that's a contributing factor here because, well, I'm not exactly super social right now. Like, I talk to my boyfriend and my roommate, and besides that, I'm not like going out and seeing a lot of people because of the pandemic. And I deleted Instagram and Facebook, and I haven't looked at social media in a long time. So this is just, I think, me interacting with like Google News, just CNN, like
Right.
even those news sources that I think of as, like, at least I'm not getting my news from Facebook. Like, I think even those are sending me down a spiral. So, yeah, I don't actually think it's social pressure right now.
Okay.
It's just a convincing bubble.
Right. Do you think that, like, maybe even just the fact that you turned around to engage this conversation is that kind of push you maybe to look for other information?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like,
Because I mean, it
yeah,
would sound like if you were to find that like it isn't the AP that gets to decide when the election's over, that might be sort of like alleviate a little bit of stress, at least for a little while.
yeah, I guess I need to look up who does decide when it's over and be more educated about that. But I guess if I find out that it's someone who Trump appointed and they're just going to do whatever he says, then I'll just be more worried, but in a more educated way.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
What is your confidence level in the information you get, say, from the mainstream media in the form of cable news and newspapers versus social media?
Versus social media? Well, I hate the idea of getting news from social media. I just dislike like Facebook, Instagram, and like, I don't know. I'm not even on anything else. So, but I really, really dislike that idea, and I have for a while. But so I would definitely say I trust like cable news and like newspapers more. But I mean, theoretically, I don't trust what they say. I know there's always spin. There's always spin on multiple layers. There's always like the writer's own perspective. Like, Noam Chomsky's book about manufacturing consent is something I started to read. But then, I don't know, when you're sitting at home during a pandemic watching election results, like, I didn't look for any information besides CNN for what was happening with the election.
So would you say your main source of news is CNN on election coverage?
On election coverage, it has been. I'm not sure why. It was just just what I picked.
I don't think so. Let's see. That was very distracting. So is it your understanding that, most of these, like the cable news networks and the newspapers come out and have support, like say they're throwing their support behind Biden. Does that concern you in terms of their level of objectivity and also in consuming news from that being your primary source of news?
It hasn't before. I truly despise Trump on a lot of levels. I mean, as a person, as a leader, as his ideas, like everything. But I do recognize that they're not gonna, if he does do something slightly good, or if someone behind him does something slightly good, then they're not going to report that because it's going to be so contrasting with all of the other things they're throwing at you. Yeah, I guess my roommate was watching. There's a YouTube channel that I forget the name of it, but they just have people with different political like ideologies, just normal people who don't have any expertise, like sit in a circle and talk to each other about different topics. And that was really interesting. I learned some good things that Trump's administration had done that I hadn't never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, yeah, it sounds bad to say that I'm so convinced about how much I hate him that if I'm missing some little good things that he's doing here and there, I feel like I'm still getting the whole picture. And I would hate to have someone who has the opposite view and who is a Trump supporter, like, not open their eyes more or look elsewhere. So I would hate to have someone on the opposite viewpoint say what I'm saying, but
Right.
it's
Interesting.
tough to be that open, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, I usually like to keep interviews around 15 minutes or so, and we're right at that point. Is there anything like final thoughts or anything you'd like to?
No, I'm glad I stopped and chatted with you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.